Hi everyone, welcome. It's Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, so it's time for Stamping with Denise. I'm so glad to be with you tonight. Missed you last week. I was actually out of town. I had the opportunity to go to Los Angeles. Our oldest son lives there, so we went for a visit, did a lot of fun stuff. Probably the coolest thing we did when we were there, other than seeing my son, was we went to a Jeopardy taping. So we got to see the taping of 2 Jeopardy episodes. So that's a lot of fun. We went on a studio tour at Paramount. I got to hold an Oscar. Those are heavy. They're about 8 pounds a piece. Saw great stuff. We went to the Museum of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. We went to Santa Monica Pier. We went down to Anaheim. We didn't go visit the mouse, but we visited in the area. Just a lot of fun stuff. So that's where I was at last week. But I'm glad to be back with you this week. A little housekeeping before we get started. Please, if you like my video, please share my video, comment, share down in the comments, and then from everybody who comments shared, I'll draw a name to win the project I work on tonight. When we were together 2 weeks ago on April 1st, I made this cool angled congratulations card, and lots of you shared it, and I appreciate it. Thank you. This is going to go to Cheryl Blahnick. Cheryl, I will get this card out to you. I have your address from a previous win, so I will get that out to you very soon. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. Please subscribe to my channel and then hit that little blue notification bell, and they'll let you know whenever I upload a new video, which is usually on Monday evenings. Okay, so tonight I have a new card for you. We're going to do a little different technique, something that I hadn't really done before, but I really like this, so I think I'm going to do more of it. And 2 versions of the same card. So I am going to change the view down to my hands, and we will get started. Okay, so this is the card we're going to work on tonight. Some of these products are retiring, and just I looked yesterday and everything was still available. So this image comes from the Simply Zinnias. This is an online exclusive. And there's a whole suite of products. I used the stamp set in another card, a couple videos ago. The cardstock and the ribbon are Orchid Oasis. Those are retiring. Last time, like I said, I checked yesterday and everything was still available. And my sentiment, I wanted a sentiment that was kind of small and compact to go in this corner. So I pulled out the Timeless Arrangement stamp set. It's retiring, and again, as of yesterday, was still available. And pulled out this little sentiment. Hope your day is filled with everything good. It's really very simple. This card and the technique I'm going to show you really can do with a lot of different stamp sets. So it doesn't have to be this. This one I colored with blends, and you can see. And but I'm going to show you a different way to color it, okay? And that's going to be our technique for tonight. So before we get started, I'm going to give you my measurements. Again, this is Orchid Oasis cardstock, which is retiring. This is 8.5 by 5.5 folded in half. We have a piece of basic white here, which is 4 inches. I think it's 4 by 5. Hold on. Let me double check here. Yeah, 4 by 5. Okay, and you're going to tear off a little bit here, and we'll talk about that in a minute. There's a piece of colored cardstock here that's 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. Now, when I show you the alternate version of this card, that layer is just a little bit bigger. That layer will be 3 1/4 by 4 7/8. So it's about what would that be, about 1/8 of an inch bigger, 3/4, yeah, to 7/8, that's 1/8 of an inch. And you'll see why it'll be really obvious. And the piece that we are stamping on is 3 by 4.5. So I'm going to start with that. Where are we at? Here we go. Here's my 3 by 4.5, and we are starting out with basic gray. Okay, here's my zinnias. And sometimes when the stamps are a little bit bigger like this, it's easier to take the ink to the stamp than the stamp to the ink, okay? And I just like the basic gray because it makes it a little less harsh than black does. And hopefully I didn't just smear it when I moved it here. Perfect. Yeah, that'll work, I think. I think we're okay. Now, oh, where's my little foam mat? Because the sentiment is on photopolymer, so I want to use a little bit of... This is the Hope Your Day is Filled with Everything Good. And it just fit perfectly in here, and you'll see why as we go on. Okay, good. And that's really all the stamping, and again, that was basic gray. Done with that. So we are going to use water painters. Now, I don't have the Stampin' Up! Water painters. These were the old ones that they had. I've got a package somewhere, but I can't find them. But right here on page 137 of the annual catalog, let me go in here. They're in that top corner. Can you see those? They're number 10. And you get 3 painters, a fine tip, a medium tip, and a large flat brush, and it holds liquids, making it easy to watercolor. And it does. But I have not put water in mine. I have put alcohol. I used just regular old 70% isopropyl alcohol. Actually, this was out of my bathroom. It expired in 2016, so it's perfect for my craft room. I do have a higher percentage, a 91% isopropyl alcohol, but that I had purchased for another technique. But I found that this worked just fine. You know what? I don't like the way that's stamped. I did smear it a little bit. I'm going to flip it over and do it again. Well, you know what? I have another one here. Cut. We're going to do that. Sorry, guys. I thought I was good and then I wasn't. So hopefully my head's not in the camera. Okay, that works. Okay, we'll put our sentiment on here. And I know, like I said, I know some people like to color and some people don't like to color, and that's okay. I'm just putting a couple layers of paper under here. This goes a lot quicker than the blends, to be perfectly honest. And the ink colors I'm going to show you are the same ink colors or the same blends that I used to color. So if you prefer blends, there you go. So these are the ink pads that I'm using: Daffodil Delight, Old Olive, Flirty Flamingo, Fresh Freesia, and Highland Heather. Okay, and I think I'm going to order these around because they're in backwards order. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and start with my Daffodil Delight, okay? So I'll put that there. I'm going to use, this is a size C block, okay? It's a C. I'm going to put it on the ink pad. I've picked up some ink on that. You see that? Oh yeah, that shows up well. I'm going to start with the centers on my flowers. Now, again, I have alcohol in here, and the reason I use, so let me start here. I've got ink on my block. I'm going to put, I only really want like 1 drop of alcohol, and there's a little bit residual in the brush. I'm going to take my brush. See, and I'm going to just do the centers of these flowers, okay? And this is just on basic white cardstock, okay? This is not watercolor paper, okay? The reason I'm using alcohol instead of water is it dries quicker than water does, and it doesn't make the water or the paper pill as much, okay? So we're going to let that set for a second. I'm going to clean this up. Get rid of my ink pad. And there we go. My palette is clean again. Now I'm using Old Olive. Again, these are the same colors. Now, on some of the flowers, I actually use Pumpkin Pie for the center instead of the Daffodil Delight, but I went back and forth. But I found out that I like the Daffodil Delight better than the Pumpkin Pie. So that'd be the only difference in the color if you're looking that close. So again, I'm going to put a drop of alcohol on there. Can you tell there? You can see it there. I'm going to kind of smear it around. Let me get a piece of paper here. Let's see if that works. That helps you see it a little bit better. Okay, so I am just going to start filling in these flowers or these leaves. And you know what? One reason I do kind of like this technique now that I've done it, and it really is easy, is because the coloring is not uniform. There's already some shading in it. Some areas are going to be darker, some are going to be lighter, and that's what happens in nature. So I really like that. Yeah, I went out of the line a little bit, but it's watercolor, so I'm good with that. Now, traditionally, you know, we use a water-based ink when you're using alcohol. Like if we were using blends, our blends are alcohol markers, so you would use a water-based ink. Well, I've got alcohol, although the ink is water-based. Here, what I have in my pen is alcohol. So I think that's the reason why it doesn't really smear the flowers too much, or the ink too much here when I'm coloring. So, and this really does go quicker than the blends, but it may not be quite as precise. And I have not squeezed any more ink out of my brush. I'm just using the ink or the alcohol that's on the block here and what might be in my brush. So, and like I said, this does not take as long to dry. It does not warp the paper quite as much. That being said, if you put a lot of ink on it, or I'm sorry, a lot of alcohol, yeah, you probably could. I'm just trying to make sure I got everything kind of filled. But you know what? I think there's something nice about the fact that it's not perfect. Okay, I'm going to clean off my block. And we'll go on to our next color. Let's see. I'm using Flirty Flamingo now. And you've seen people do watercoloring, you know, where they put ink in here and they use water. I don't want to do that because I don't want alcohol to get into my ink. I want to keep the alcohol away from my ink pad. Okay. Sometimes people use their re-inkers, but you know what? I think you get too much ink on that when you do it that way. So I like picking it up. I like using the block, picking the ink up off the surface of the ink pad, you get a nice little palette of ink there, and you probably use less ink doing it that way than if you just put a drop or two out of your re-inker. And if you were really talented, you could probably do this so that it was darker on the center and lighter on the outsides of the flowers, you know, flower petals. But I'm not that. I'll get enough contrast, because you can, I don't know if you can tell, it's a little darker on that side and a little lighter toward the other side. So there we go. I just like to take a double peek before I clean off my block so that I didn't miss anything. Okay, so now I'm using fresh Freesia. And you can see this is going pretty fast. It's a lot of fun. I'm trying to get just a little bit. There we go. I got a little ink drop out of there. Okay, let's do it down here. The fresh Freesia down here. Okay. And I'll show you here in a minute. I've got one that's done that I didn't do anything with it, and it really does not warp the paper as much as you might think. It's a little bit, but it's very minimal. So I'll show you that in just a second here. And again, see, I've got, and I don't know if you can tell from your vantage point, but here in person, I have variation in these flower petals, and I just think it makes it look a lot more realistic. That being said, sometimes I'm looking for a bold and bright look to my card. In that case, the blends are the right thing for you. If you, okay, this is Highland Heather. If you want a little softer, maybe this is the right technique. You just kind of have to try it out, see what works, and go from there. So, and it does dry a little bit darker. It doesn't look quite as muddy once it's completely dry, and I'll show you that here in a minute. I just wanted to do this last. Now on this card, I used the light color, the light fresh Freesia, and the light Highland Heather, but I used the dark Flirty Flamingo. Okay, so if you're wanting to color just like this card is, you fill in some of these. These are a little light in color. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. And really, that's all you have to do to clean this brush is just kind of, you know, rub it on a clean surface. And you saw all I've done here is just put it on the paper towel and rub it. That's kind of pretty. So let me put that piece of scrap paper over there. Okay, so I want to show you one that I've done before. See, it's just, let me get this out of the way. It's a little bit, this is the one that I just worked on. Here's one that I did before. And you can see that the colors are you know, getting brighter. Now, I think this one is my Highland Heather that's up here, and this one I think is my fresh Freesia. I think I did them backwards, but very little warping. That was all. I didn't do anything to it. If you're in a real, you want this to dry thoroughly before you put it on your card. But if you're in a hurry, you could use your heat gun, in which case I would probably kind of like rub it down with your finger as you go along. So, through the magic of television, this is the one that I did earlier and is completely dry. So, again, here's our Orchid Oasis card base, 8.5, 5.5, folded in half. This is our piece of white that is 4 by 5. And to get this little edge corner, ripped corner, you want to tear off about 1/2 inch, pull it toward you. You get more of this frayed look when you pull it toward you. And just go in small pieces like this, small segments. Okay, and we're going to put that down. Now this card being a darker base, you will want to put a piece of white cardstock on the inside. Remember, this piece here is 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. Yes. Remember, I said that there's an alternative to this that I'm going to show you. And that one is, the size on that one is 3 1/4 by 4 7/8. So it's just a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm going to put this on here like this. Perfect. You could put this up on dimensionals if you wanted to. I'm not going to. Again, sometimes it's nice to not have much of a bump in it for when you're mailing. So then we're going to put the bow on this one. Again, this is retiring, but it was still available. This is the Orchid Oasis metallic woven ribbon. They had it in they did have it in all of the in colors. This is one of them that's retiring. It's just such a pretty, it's such a rich purple. I don't think it was as popular as they thought it was going to be because it was too close to a couple other colors, but it's such a nice color, purple. And then we use a little glue dot on here. Put it on here, and there you go. Really, that's about it. Trim that end off just a little bit. Okay. Now let's look at these, let's compare these two. Let's pull it in. I don't think you can tell a lot of difference. Remember, I flipped the colors on these two flowers here, but I think they both look really nice. Just depends how you might like to color it in. Now let me show you the alternative to this one, okay? You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and make my bow for the next card while I'm here. Did you see how I do that? I just take the length of ribbon and make bunny ears and then tie those bunny ears together. That's all you have to do. You don't get a big clunky thick knot. Just kind of, finesse it into the size you want and trim it off. It's one of the easiest bows that there is, so I'll set that over there for now. So let me show you what we're going to do with the other cards. So I've got it to this point. You already saw how I did that, so no big deal. There's another one that I did with the watercolor, but we are going to cut this. Yes, cut this. Remember, this is 4.5 inches. We're going to cut this in 1.5 inch strips, okay? 1.5 and 1.5. So, and it'll go on like this. Now you can see why I wanted a small little sentiment that would fit down here. I didn't want to cut in the middle of my sentiment, so yep. See, I screwed that up when I stamped that one. So I just did it over again. So I'm going to put 2 dimensionals. I mean, you could do these flat if you didn't want to do dimensionals. That's okay too. I'm going to take the backs off of these. And then we are going to put these on our card base. Now we're not going to put them down permanently. We're just going to set them in place until we get the placement right. I think it's best to do the bottom and the top first and then put the middle one in. So let's see here. I think that looks pretty good. Like that. Okay. I'm going to put those down. There we go. And it just takes it up a notch. Again, it's not hard. Doesn't take a lot of extra products, not a lot of extra skill. Just use your trimmer and cut it in 3s. And you know what you could do too, if you wanted to add a little more bling to this, you probably could use a little bit of Wink of Stella, which I believe is back in stock, and put it on the flowers if you wanted them to glimmer a little more. So, let me know, which card did you like better? Do you like the solid one or do you like the split card? Let's see. Is that... Which one did you like better? Let me know. Please, if you need to make any purchases, here's my website, here's my current host code, and please, when you comment, tell me which one you like. Do you like the whole, where the front is whole in one piece, or do you like it where it's cut in 3? And what do you think about this coloring technique? Will you try it? Let me know. It was great to be back with you this week, and I will see you next Monday for another Stamping with Denise. Bye now.